By and large, the Jedi Order was usually right, and a great many Jedi were noble and upstanding. But as any Star Wars fan could tell you, the Jedi Order had its fair share of a-holes too. In particular, Mace Windu, Ki-Adi-Mundi, and Luminara Unduli needed to lighten up a bit, but who was the worst of all? The biggest a-hole in the Jedi Order? While it might surprise some of you, that award didn't belong to any of the three aforementioned Jedi Masters, nor any of their contemporaries. It belonged to a Jedi Master named Vrook Lamar, a crotchety old man whose story we'll tell today.
Attention, Sergeant on deck!
Very little is known about Master Vrook's life prior to the Great Sith War, 4,000 years before the Battle of Yavin. He was a human male recruited into the Jedi Order long before the rise of Exar Kun. As a Jedi consular, Vrook spent most of his career as a Jedi mediating disputes, and his studies focused on obscure uses of the Force instead of lightsaber combat techniques. Lamar likely trained on Dantooine, where esteemed Jedi Master Vodo Siyosk Bas had established a training enclave. By the time of the Great Sith War, Vrook Lamar had become a Jedi Master. The Great Sith War, though brief, did terrible damage to the Jedi Order. The Jedi lost Ossus, their homeworld, and were forced to relocate to a new temple on Coruscant. Many of the greatest masters were killed by the Sith, and many artifacts and books of lore were lost with the planet. When the Jedi Council reformed after the war, Master Vrook was given a place on it. With the death of Vodo Siyosk Bas during the war, Vrook was also given a place on the ruling council of the Dantooine Jedi Enclave. Vrook spent most of his time on Dantooine, where he was in charge of relations with Dantooine's settlers, though he also occasionally travelled to Coruscant to participate in Jedi Council meetings. Over the years, Vrook developed a bit of a reputation among the Jedi. Like the Jedi historian Atris, who we've already made a video on, he became an adherent of an extremely stringent interpretation of the Jedi Code. Many students considered him overly critical, as he expected nothing short of perfection. Vrook regularly warned younger Jedi about the dark side, having seen its lure firsthand during the Sith War. Many students claimed that Vrook saw everything as dangerously close to the dark side. In turn, Vrook was suspicious of many of the students who passed through the Enclave, especially three particularly gifted ones, Revan, Malak, and Mitra Surik. Where other Jedi Masters saw natural skills and great potential, Vrook Lamar saw danger. His cynicism frequently brought him into clashes with Master Vandar Tokara, a member of Yoda's species who also sat on the council.
True, an average student of the Force, but with a unique strength. He's a natural leader. I strongly disagree. Mediocre Jedi, lust for power, will lead to the dark side. Furthermore,
Vrook wasn't all bad, mind you. Despite his general unpleasantness, he was a skilled master and taught his students much. He also wasn't nearly as much of an a-hole to non-Jedi, and had great compassion for the people of Dantooine in particular, helping them resolve many local conflicts and troubles. It also can't be said that Vrook's fear of the dark side was unjustified. After all, he had lived through the Great Sith War and had seen the danger the dark side posed. Nonetheless, his constant wariness led him to be a real jerk to his students, which, ironically, likely led many of them to the dark side in the wars to come. Vrook's fear of the dark side also led him to make a number of questionable decisions. In 3963 BBY, the Republic became embroiled in the Mandalorian Wars, and the Jedi Council was left with the decision. They could either intervene or leave the Republic to fend for itself. Vrook and his good friend Vandar were present on Coruscant for the Council's debates on the matter, which they discussed alongside a number of other prominent masters such as Atris, the historian, the famed Jedi Guardian Kavar, Jedi Watchman Zez Kyle, and the maverick Jedi Master Lona Vash. The Council ultimately elected to wait. Vrook and the others reasoned that it was too soon after the Great Sith War for the Jedi Order to fight another war. They feared that some other, darker threat was lurking out in the Outer Rim, and that the dark side would corrupt their students if they were sent to war. Many Jedi disagreed with this ruling, the aforementioned Revan, Malak, and Mitra Surik among them. They and many other young Jedi ignored the Council's wishes and went off to war anyway. This concerned all the Masters of the Jedi Council, who could do nothing as their students broke away to follow Revan. Many feared the dark side would corrupt them, but Vrook was even more cynical. He was quite open about his belief that those who went off to fight had already fallen, and that the dark side had corrupted Revan and Malak long before the Mandalorians invaded. The Mandalorian Wars ended with the Battle of Malachor V, in which Mitra Surik used a super weapon to destroy the Mandalorian fleet, at the cost of her connection to the Force. After Malachor, Revan, Malak, and their followers vanished into the unknown regions, all save one, Mitra Surik, who returned to Coruscant to face the Council's judgment. Vrook and the others put Surik on trial for her actions, which she refused to renounce, firm in her belief that going off to fight had been the right move. The Council voted to exile her. Vrook was one of the loudest voices in condemning Mitra Surik, deeming her lost to the dark side. Around the same time as Surik's trial, Revan, Malak, and the others returned to the galaxy as Sith, beginning the Jedi Civil War. This time, the Jedi Council decided to aid the Republic in the war. During the conflict, Vrook spent most of his time on Dantooine, using the Enclave there as a remote redoubt for Jedi fighting for the Republic. During the Jedi Civil War, Vrook sat on the Enclave Council alongside 3 other Masters: Vandar, who served as their delegate to the Republic, Zar Leston, who oversaw the training of apprentices, and Dorak, the chronicler of the Academy. Vrook continued to act as the Enclave's envoy to the local settler population, helping them deal with Mandalorian raiders and local feuds. Late in the war, the young Jedi Bastila Shen captured Revan and brought him back to the Dantooine Council, proposing that the Council wipe Revan's memory and use him to strike a blow against the Sith, who Malak now ruled. Vrook was opposed to this plan. He thought that trying to control Revan was asking for trouble, fearing that Revan would inevitably stray back to the dark side. But the other Masters voted against him. Against Vrook's wishes, Revan was programmed with a new personality, one loyal to the Republic, and sent on a mission to stop Malak. Against Vrook's predictions, Revan succeeded and the Republic emerged victorious from the Jedi Civil War. Revan's victory didn't come without cost, however. Near the end of the Jedi Civil War, Malak attacked Dantooine and destroyed the Enclave, killing or capturing many Jedi and doing grievous harm to local communities. Vrook and the other Masters escaped Dantooine, but darker threats were still on the horizon. Even after Malak's defeat, the numbers of the Jedi began to dwindle. As the Republic slowly rebuilt, something was attacking the Jedi, hunting them down one by one. The Jedi quickly determined the threat to be Sith, but were unsure of its exact nature. In 3952 BBY, many of the surviving Jedi met on Katar for a conclave, hoping to discern the nature of the threat. There, tragedy struck. Darth Nihilus attacked Katar during the conclave, and the entire planet was cleansed of life. Vandar, Zar, and Dorak all perished in the attack, leaving Vrook the last surviving member of the Dantooine Council. He was one of only a few Jedi Masters left, and like the others, he chose to go into self-imposed exile after Katar, formally disbanding the Jedi Order. For his exile, Vrook returned to Dantooine, hiding out in the ruins of the Enclave. There, he meditated on the Jedi Order's failings, considering the various disasters that had befallen it. Around the same time, many of the other Masters came to realize that some of the Council's prior decisions had been flawed, and that, at least in part, many of the tragedies the Jedi had suffered were self-inflicted. Vrook, on the other hand, held himself and the other Jedi Masters blameless for the catastrophes of the past decade. He continued to look down on those who had gone to fight in the Mandalorian Wars and retained his cynicism about the Order's lost students. Everything that had gone wrong, he believed, was the fault of the dark side. In 3951 BBY, Mitra Surik returned to the known galaxy to search for the surviving Jedi Masters. On Dantooine, she found Vrook and helped him defend the planet's settlers against mercenary raiders. In the 9 years since Vrook had last seen the Exile, his opinion of her hadn't changed. He was sharply critical of Surik, even as she tried to help him and the settlers stave off the mercenaries, and he defended his decision to exile her, still firm in his belief that she had been wrong to defy the Council. Nonetheless, Surik managed to convince Vrook to meet with the other surviving Jedi Masters on Dantooine. The only other remaining Jedi Masters, Kavar and Zez Kyle, joined Vrook in the ruins of the Enclave. Surik asked them to take actions to stop the remnants of the Sith who were beginning to reveal themselves, but the Masters again hesitated, believing the time had not yet come, just as they had during the Mandalorian Wars. They also refused to rescind Surik's exile. On the contrary, after learning that she had regained her Force sensitivity, Vrook and the others elected to forcefully sever her connection to the Force once again. Before they could follow through, however, the council meeting was crashed by Darth Traya, who had been traveling with Surik under the name Kreia. She rebuked the Jedi Masters, Vrook especially, for failing to learn from their mistakes. Vowing to show them the galaxy through the eyes of the Exile, Kreia drained the Force from Vrook and the other Masters, killing them. Vrook Lamar was pretty consistent in making bad calls, but worse than that was the fact he never repented and never accepted faults for anything. He continued in his role as the Jedi Order's biggest a-hole until his dying day. But what do you think? Would you like to learn about other Jedi Masters from this era? Let us know your thoughts in the comment section below. And as always guys, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video.